And we're live. Aha. Hello there, folks. Sorry about that. We're spinning loop there. It's 10 o'clock. My name's Dr. Sloan, so I'll say thank you very much for joining me tonight for chapter 37 and chapter 38 of our Children of Dune book club. Apologies to everybody I couldn't get on Tuesday. And I had done the little Douglas Adams World Tile Day thing, and I even had suggested that I might try to get on early. And apologies, sort of life just caught up with me. Pardon me. So we would go with the Wednesday if we can't make it on the Tuesday, but it was a bit easier for me to do today, in fact. So I'm not sure if anybody's there, but we'll crack on with it anyway. And if anyone is there, do say hello. As always, I'm not very good at sort of keeping a regular time frame with this stuff, so I do my best. But for those who are watching it on the playlists after, after the fact, it doesn't really matter. All you do is you get me apologizing a lot. So yes, interestingly enough, tonight I've called chapter 37 Riddles in the Dark, or alternatively, Riddles for a Sphinx. Just in terms of giving the chapters a little title. Patience, I think, is the one on what I would call chapter 38, to be honest with you. And patience is important for both of these young men, pardon me, in these chapters. And before we get going, I wanted to say something. I'm not 100% sure about this, but we were talking about the Jacurutu myth a couple of weeks back, I think. And we were talking in relation to what was Frank Herbert taking from it. And I just wanted to read a little bit of it here very quickly. Because I thought it kind of made a little bit more sense. This is, on the death of Jacurutu. He says, "Since I cannot restore the lives of your children," continued Jacurutu, "I will leave you an inheritance capable of perfecting your weapons. My corpse will turn into a plant. My arms will produce the red ipe wood for bows, the bamboo for arrows, and the paracuba for arrowheads. From my nerves will come the tukum for bowstrings. From my hair, the karawa thread to tie the feathers, and from my fat, the oil to lubricate and soften the string." And then, having said this, Jacurutu and his people were never heard from again. The Muras perfected their arsenal of weapons. So it was just that bit in relation to is there any kind of real connection with Leto at all here? And I kind of think there is, but it's to do, and a sort of spoiler alert, and again, I'm not sure about this because I haven't read God Emperor of Dune in a long time. But I think that has got something to do with the God Emperor and his eventual fate, if you like. There's Object Degree saying, "Evening, Doc. Good to see and hear you once again. How you doing, Object Degree? Thank you very much. I really enjoyed your little Mega City 1 clip. I thought it was excellent. I left a wee comment, not a very good one, I think, but I really enjoyed it, and I kind of was having a look at it, and it made me think, yeah, I liked the look of it, and it reminded me in a way of kind of more of a Squares kind of Mega City 1, and I think was at the Hudson River. Going through it there, but I really liked it. It reminded me of a certain look that Mega City 1 had. I think that not everybody gets right these days, So yeah, I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was excellent. Well done. Yeah, definitely. Excellent stuff. I thought that's very good effort indeed. I thought it was a very good Mega City 1 indeed. Thank you for that. So let's see. So yeah, I just thought in relation to the Jacurutu myth, as much as we've kind of got this grandfather turtle thing, we're going to have another one of those rings with a tortoise on it. Again, this isn't that right in this chapter? Yeah, magic form of a magic tortoise. So it was as much as it being a trap for a certain individual, we've got this Jacurutu as a trap for Leto. Was there more to it than that, other than just Frank borrowing a little bit of this obscure myth? And I actually think there is more to it than that. And oddly enough, it's something, well, I'll certainly remember to look at it when we get there. But it's something I don't think we're going to be able to find out until we get to the God Emperor and his, towards the end of God Emperor of Dune. So I've scribbled a big note about it in my book. And the other thing I suppose is tonight, goodness, I'm kind of in a bit of a bind. I've been hoping to get another one of these notebooks from the place that I buy them, and they've told me that they're on their way, but they've actually gone missing. And I managed to get these 2 chapters done into the notebook, and I've, for now, temporarily, pardon me, just finished the end of it on a bit of A4, which I'm going to attach into the notebook. So I need to get a new book to carry on with the book club. So at the minute, then, as of tonight, basically, folks, we will have filled these pretty much. There we go. 2 complete. These are B5, which is why I'm having bother getting them. So if I can't get one sorted very quickly within the next few days, I'm going to have to go to A5, which is a bit sad, but I think I can get one online. I was just trying to keep the books all in the same kind of the same type, actually. And it'd be a bit sad if it doesn't happen. I don't know if you can see, because there's all the rest of them behind me, you know. So these 2, I would have expected 3 of these, possibly 4 for Children of Dune, and then the same amount for the rest of the books. I'm hoping to have them. So fingers crossed we can get something done about it. Pardon me. And if not, I'll just have to grab an alternative for next week. But I'm going to have a little staple then. So let's have a wee look. But yeah, I've been having more thoughts about Jack Urutu, just having read the myth again there. Thinking it's a very interesting myth, you know, and I certainly don't know much about any kind of, well, very little about any kind of American North, South, or Meso, if you like, mythology. So I'm quite fascinated by it. Right, let me just see. Sorry, folks, let me just get to the right chapter here then. So we've got 2 little short chapters again. One has basically a dump of a whole lot of terms, which would be the first one here, chapter 37. As I said, I've called it Riddles in the Dark. And then chapter 38 is a very, very little fast setup chapter, I think, that just moves the action, moves the tension forward. And we see certain things developing with certain plots and plans, etc. The following chapter 38 is basically between Jessica and Farad'n as his training begins. Whereas chapter 37 that we're about to look at now is Leto and a character called Namri, who's going to be Leto's interrogator. And this is a return to the riddle game that Leto and Ganima were sort of enjoying at the start of the books. And as I said, I've called this chapter Riddles in the Dark, or Riddles for a Sphinx. Again, we have the Oedipus myth as an overlay here. Different aspects of it. In some ways, you could look at Leto as the Sphinx, I suppose. But Riddles in the Dark, it also kind of reminded me on that chapter. It's in The Hobbit, isn't it? Riddles in the Dark. Between Bilbo and Smeagol, Gollum. So, as much as it's been a while since I read this, I was expecting some. I don't know. See what you think about the riddles. I'm not too impressed by them, but they're not the kind of riddles that I think we would be used to. Certainly not the type of riddles that you would find in the Lord of the Rings, I suppose. The riddle that's associated with the Oedipus myth is the riddle of the Sphinx, and it's what walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, 3 legs in the evening, and has a voice. And the answer is, of course, man, who crawls on all 4s in the morning of his life, walks along on 2 legs in the afternoon of his life, and in the evening he uses a stick, which is the 3rd leg there, and has a voice. So that's the riddle of the Sphinx. And I suppose that the sense that riddles are an ancient kind of thing. And they're quite important in the Lord of the Rings, and they're quite important in some ancient cultures as well. So I'll very quickly just run through our epigraph number 37, and then I'll have a wee quick check to see who's arrived there. If you believe certain words, you believe their hidden arguments. When you believe something is right or wrong, true or false, you believe the assumptions in the words which express the arguments. Such assumptions are often full of holes, but remain most precious to the convinced. This is from the open-ended proof from the Panoplia Prophetica. There we go, an interesting little epigraph. Let me just quickly, there's Chaya saying shalom all. Shalom Chaya, how you doing? And there's Babs saying evening Doc, howdy you all. Evening Babs, howdy. Hope you're all keeping well. Carlos is saying hey Doc, hey guys. Hiya Carlos, how are you? And there's Cynthia saying hi Doc, hi all. Hello Cynthia, how you doing? And there's Julian saying hi Doc, hi everybody. Hello folks. Sorry about the wee shift in time again this week. It's just life. My life is pretty chaotic. Interestingly enough, I suppose ordered chaos or chaotic order, I don't know, but that's got something to do with this chapter, hasn't it? With these chapters. Certain words, this little epigraph, folks, if you believe certain words, you believe the hidden arguments. When you believe something is right or wrong, true or false, you believe the assumptions in words which express the arguments. Such assumptions are often full of holes, but remain, pardon me, but remain precious to the convinced. Yeah, language and the use of words. It's me says I'm here too. Hi, it's me. Good to see you. Pardon me. Yes, indeed. The use of language, I'm sure we're all aware. The use of individual words to manipulate, to persuade, etc., whether for right or wrong. Words can be loaded. We have, words can have hatred piled in behind them. They can have their meaning altered entirely and corrupted. There's all sorts of things that we do with words. Interestingly enough, and particularly from my point of view, I often find that there's a lot of words that people use that they're not actually quite right on what they mean, if you know what I mean. They're not quite sure about what they mean. So yes, indeed, words can be loaded. They can become, we can have buzzwords, this kind of thing, jargon, all sorts of things that we can do with words. And even we have differentials and things like de facto language and de jure language, where we have a term that this is what it means in the real world, but here's this term in a court of law, and we make it a different thing, And even within, I suppose, the realms of sciences and different disciplines, a word in one discipline can mean something entirely different than another, There's Julian saying semantics-focused epigraph. Palumbo gets into these ideas a bit in his books on Dune. Thank you, Julian. Yes, indeed. And again, one of the ways that, well, I suppose ultimately at this point, you've probably all figured out that as much as we I didn't want to approach this work from any one particular theme or anything like that. I decided to run with the language, and it's really become a work of etymology, hasn't it? In many cases, words have a meaning as well as being loaded, can have hidden meaning. Anne Frank, sorry, that sounded like Anne Frank for a second there. I meant Anne Frank, is very much into his language and what words mean. In fact, we've got a whole bunch to look at in this chapter. So it's certainly something that I agree with. I think you hear it in the news and things like that, even in the weather. Certain words, there's buzzwords, this kind of thing. I think some of them are very funny. In the UK, if it's going to be really, really cold, I suppose it's the Met. What would you call it? Is it the Met Office for the BBC? But the only way they can describe it is that it's going to be very, was it bitterly cold? That's it. That's it's always bitterly cold with the BBC. The average person has about 101 different ways of telling you how cold it is, but it's they're usually not polite. I think they can be fun. But yes, indeed. And so a word, the choice of a particular word, loaded language, can convey arguments, and then people can take belief in those words within the argument. I suppose we've seen a lot of that, haven't we? With the prefixes, in particular the Latin and Greek prefixes within the sort of gender ideology, which I find some of these words. Oh, again, these prefixes have meaning and sort of stand on their own in some ways as well. I find it quite confusing sometimes. So here we go, folks. Let's get started. This is an interesting chapter. See what you think. I've got a few mistakes within the text. Nothing too major, I think, this time. Though I do have a Leto being a Leo again. Let me have a wee look here. Okay, so we have Leto's mind floated in a stew of fierce odors. He recognized the heavy cinnamon of melange, the confined sweat of working bodies, the acridity of an uncapped death still, dust of many sort, with flint dominant. That's possibly one of them already, isn't it? Let me just check here. Dust of many sort with flint. Yeah, I don't know if that quite flowed right or not. Dust with many sort. It's what I have in my book here. Dust with many sort with flint dominant. The odors formed a trail through dream sand, created shapes of fog in a dead land. He knew these odors should tell him something, but part of him could not yet listen. It's a pity for stumbling over that wee bit there, and I'm wondering if it is a mistake, because that wee bit that follows there is a really nice little piece of writing, I thought. The odors formed a trail through dream sand, created shapes of fog in a dead land. He knew these odors should tell him something, but part of him could not yet listen. And that thing about bad smells as well within the Dune series, often suggest evil, don't they? Something saying my text says dust of many sorts. Let's have a look. Dust of many. Yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah, thank you. There we are. Dust of many sorts. Read that again then. Let's see. Just going back to that. He recognized the heavy cinnamon of melange, the confined sweat of working bodies, the acridity of an uncapped death still, dust of many sorts with flint dominant. Much better. The odors, thank you. The odors formed a trail through dream sand, created shapes of fog in a dead land. He knew these odors should tell him something, but part of him could not yet listen. So he's still a bit groggy. Thought like wraiths. Now, let me see. Thoughts like wraiths, yes. That one's my mistake. Floated through his mind. And here we get his thoughts here. In this time, I have no finished features. I am all of my ancestors. The sun setting into the sand is the sun setting into my soul. Once this multitude within me was great, but that's ended. I'm Fremen, and I'll have a Fremen ending. The golden path is ended before it began. It's nothing but a wind-blown trail. We Fremen knew all the tricks to conceal ourselves. We left no feces, no water, no tracks. Now look at my trail vanish. A masculine voice spoke close to his ear. I could kill you, Atreides. I could kill you, Atreides. It was repeated over and over until it lost meaning, because a wordless thing carried within Leto's dreaming a litany of sorts. I could kill you, Atreides. Leto cleared his throat and felt the reality of this simple act shake his senses. His dry throat managed. Who? The voice behind him said, I'm an educated Fremen and I've killed my man. You took away our gods, Atreides. What do we care about your stinking Muad'Dib? Your god's dead. And we get Leto's thoughts here. Was that a real Aruba voice or another part of his dream? Let me just have a wee look here. Number 6. Leto, no, that's okay. Sorry. Leto opened his eyes, found himself unfettered on a hard couch. He looked upward. He looked upward at rock, dim glow globes, an unmasked face staring down at him, so close he could smell the breath with its familiar odors of a sacred diet. The face was Fremen, no mistaking the dark skin, those sharp features and water-wasted flesh. This was no fat city dweller. Here was a desert Fremen. I am Namri, father of Javid, the Fremen said. Do you know me now, Atreides? I know Javid, Leto husked. Yes, your family knows my son well. I am proud of him. You Atreides may know him even better soon. What? I am one of your schoolmasters, Atreides. I have only one function. I am the one who could kill you. I'll do it glad. Sorry, I do it gladly. In this school, to graduate is to live. To fail is to be given into my hands. There we go. Just before we go on, Namri. This is Namri, father of Javid. What he's suggesting there is that your family knows my son well. You may know him even better soon. Is that he might? I think the suggestion is that he may end up marrying into the family there, or something more sinister. Namri, as far as I know, in terms of who is this character named after, I got Namri Songston, who is the 32nd king of Tibet, and was about all that I could find here, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check. Very quickly. Oh, here we go. I refer to a place. This is the AI, by the way. I'm not sure I would trust this. I have a thing below it here telling me that the name means beautiful. But in Tibetan history, Namri Songston, Namri Slongerston, that's how you pronounce it, was a significant figure according to the old Book of Tang. He was a Tibetan king who sent emissaries to the Sioux Emperor Yang in 608 and 609, marking early diplomatic relations between Tibet and the Tang dynasty. Just the this AI thing here says Namri can also refer to a place possibly with a connection to the Zagros Mountains. Some suggest that Namri was another name for Babylon. Babylon in Urartian inscriptions. I wonder where that comes from. Yeah, I'm not too not too keen on what it's suggesting here. Yes, it's Encyclopedia Iranica. Anyway, I didn't get too much on that I was certain on, but there's a bunch of names and things like that in this that are curious. Namri reigned from 570 to 618 AD. Chai is saying there, Namri sounds a lot like Nimrod, a biblical name meaning rebellion. Nimrod, yes, indeed. He's the great hunter, isn't he? Nimrod's an interesting character. Mighty hunter. That's him. Biblical figure mentioned in the book of Genesis and the book of Chronicles is the son of Cush, and therefore the great grandson of Noah. Nimrod was described as a king in the land of Shinar, which is lower Mesopotamia. The Bible states that he was a mighty hunter before the Lord and began to be mighty in the earth. The biblical narrative and non-biblical traditions identifies Nimrod as the ruler who had commissioned the construction of the Tower of Babel, and that identification led to his reputation as a king who had been rebellious against God. There's tons of stuff on him, isn't there? Yes, indeed. Thank you. My cat. My cat is named Nimrod, laughing at that. Yes, the mighty hunter. It can be an insult in this country if you called somebody a Nimrod. Your man's a bit of a Nimrod, that kind of thing. I'm not too sure how to put it, but it's It's an insult. Don't know. It's a funny one, isn't it? Of course, Elgar's Nimrod's a good piece of music, isn't it? Yeah. He led the people to build the Tower of Babel and one of the kings in the First War. Hmm. I'll have to have a wee nosy into it. Yeah. Nimrod, Namri, Nimrod. Yes, indeed. There's some sort of there's some cognates with him as well. I would have to have a nosy at. Certainly an interesting character. Goodness, there's so much to learn, isn't there? Ping, thanking you. Let's see. So yes, indeed, and Namri is going to act as a schoolmaster to the Atreides. Of course, I suppose a lot of tutelage is a big part of how our heroes are formed. I suppose within the Dune series, teachers are important, and this one's going to put Leto to the test in a quite a harsh way. To graduate his school is to stay alive, basically. To fail is to be given into my hands, and that's to be killed. Leto heard implacable sincerity in that voice. It chilled him. This was a human Gom Jabbar, a high-handed enemy to test his right of entrance into the human concourse. Leto sensed his grandmother's hand in this, and behind her, the faceless masses of the Bene Gesserit. He writhed at this thought. I like that. Yes, indeed. He senses as grandmother's hand behind this is correct, which is interesting, I suppose, because this is the unraveling of Jessica's plan, isn't it? This is it being put into execution. It's not quite what we thought it would be, I suppose. And to put her own grandson at risk, again, there's reasons for it, but it's an interesting thing. Let me see. There's something. Sorry, there's just something I was thinking on there. No, it's gone. Not to worry about it. On we go. But yes, indeed, another Gom Jabbar, a human one in this case. And Namri says, "Your education begins with me," Namri said. "That is just. It is fitting because it could end with me. Listen to me carefully now. My every word carries your life in it. Everything about me holds your death within it." So it's pay real attention, isn't it? Oh yes, it was. I had to test his right of entrance into the human concourse. It's an interesting way of putting it. It was just that sort of thing. It almost was reminding me on the Spartan Agogi what Leto's going through. Leto shot his glance around the room. Rock walls, barren, only the couch, the dim glow globes, and a dark passage behind Namri. "You will not get past me," Namri said, and Leto believed him. "Why are you doing this?" Leto asked. "That's already been explained. Think what plans are in your head. You are here and cannot put a future into your present condition. The two don't go together, now and future. But if you really know your past, if you look backward and see where you've been, perhaps there'll be reason once more. If not, there will be your death." Goodness gracious, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Chaya said, "Have we had the word Aruba before?" I think yes, we have, Chaya. Did I skipped over it? It's like as neurotic Al Aruba. I think we talked about, isn't it meant to be the basically that they're Arabic people? Isn't that correct? If I'm not mistaken, that's probably why I jumped over that one. And I think we had it within the last couple of chapters actually as well, with the Fremen who are at Jack Urutu. Leto has just questioned whether he was even an individual. Namri's threat helps focus Leto on a single identity, one that is vulnerable, worth keeping. Oh, here, hang on. Sorry, I've just jumped back a wee bit here. There we go. Bear with me a wee second. There we are. And Jason saying, tutelage is also a major part of how Dune works metatextually. It's a very pedagogic text where both character and reader learn. That's a good point. Yeah, tutors are quite important in this, aren't they? I thought that the best way of looking at it, really, in terms of tutelage and how young Paul Atreides turns out, is that we're pointed out very much who all the people are that his tutors are, but we're also really made sure to be told that Jessica is one of them. As much as there's Gurney, there's Duncan, there's Thufir Hawat, etc. All these really clever, different people, sort of different aspects of things. The person who's never really around that much is his father. We're going to see, I suppose, there's a little question I thought that I have for the next chapter was in relation to Farad'n's first lesson with the Bene Gesserit with Jessica. And the question I was going to ask when we get there is, was that Paul's first lesson? And if so, why? And it's to do with the hand, if you see what I mean. And again, those hands and agency are starting to pop up here a lot as well. So think what your plans are. You're here and cannot put the future into your present condition. The two don't go together, now and future. But if you really know your past, if you look backward and see where you've been, perhaps there'll be reason once more. If not, there will be your death. So again, it's the nature of, I suppose, prescience, other memory, and living in the moment now. If you see what I mean, and distinguishing between the three, that one can't, the future can't help him here. It's to be in the now, but perhaps what he's learned from the past might help him in this moment. Leto noted that Namri's tone was not unkind, but it was firm, and no denying the death in it. Namri rocked back on his heels, stared at the rock ceiling. In olden times, Fremen faced east at dawn. Eos, that's dawn in one of the old tongues. Bitter pride in his voice, Leto said, I speak that tongue. So Eos is the Greek goddess of the dawn. Rosy-fingered Eos, as she's known. So nod back to Greek mythology. We're going to actually attach Eos to the Atreides name here in a moment. Interestingly enough, make it a double-barreled name. This is Namri. You have not listened to me then. So bitter pride, he's being a wee bit boastful in his voice. Leto said, I speak that tongue. Maybe you don't. You have not listened to me then, Namri said, and there was a knife edge in his voice. Night was the time of chaos, day was the time of order. That's how it was in this time of that tongue you speak. Darkness, disorder, light, order. We Fremen changed that. Eos was the light we distrusted. We preferred the light of the moon or the stars. Light was too much order, and that can be fatal. You see what you Eos Atreides have done. Man is a creature of only that light which protects him. The sun was our enemy on Dune. Namri brought his gaze down to Leto's level. What light do you prefer, Atreides? Now this is kind of interesting, I suppose. Darkness, disorder, light, order. Night is the time of chaos, day was the time of order. Ancient civilizations, the night can be dangerous. And of course, to live on Arrakis, the Fremen have turned around the natural night-day cycle, if you like, that they survive by the light of the moon and the stars because it's safer than to be out in the sun on this planet, whereas it's not the same as these ancient cultures. The sun would be your friend, darkness would be, you want to be safe within your walls with your fire lit, this kind of thing. So the sun was our enemy on Dune, and you see what your Eos Atreides have done. So the suggestion is that I suppose like the Emperor being a bit like the sort of metaphorical sun, or the idea of a sun king, this kind of thing. but they are the dawn that's brought the sun, that's turned their world upside down. So the question is, what sort of light does Leto prefer? Is it the light of the sun, or is it the moon or the stars, that kind of thing? And by his answer, here he'll continue to either live or not. So by Namri's poised attitude, Leto sensed that the question carried deep weight. Would the man kill him if he failed to answer correctly? He might. This is a bit where I've got Leo. Leo saw Namri's hand. It's Leto, of course. Leto saw Namri's hand resting quietly next to the polished hilt of a crysknife. A ring in the form of a magic tortoise glittered on the Fremen's knife hand. Pardon me. Wonder what makes it magic. The form of a magic tortoise. I've drawn the little tortoise again on a ring. Magic, and I've written tortoise. See Jacuruti myth, Children of Dune, chapter 31, epigraph about the ring, and is it Tiger Mohandas? There he is. Tiger Mohandas, conversations with a friend. The ring in the shape of a tortoise. And it came with a password. The ring is that represents, is it the grandfather of the turtles, Urara Ramona, with the sticky shell, and it's that being that entraps Jacurutu in the Jacurutu myth. So we have another person wearing this ring. Leto eased himself up onto his elbows, sent his mind questing into Fremen beliefs. They trusted the law and loved to hear its lessons expounded in analogy. These old Fremen, they trusted the law, and I'll read that again. They trusted the law and loved to hear its lessons expounded in analogy. These old Fremen. The light of the moon? So here's Leto's response here. I prefer the light of Lisanu Lahak, Leto said, watching Namri for subtle revelations. The man seemed disappointed, but his hand moved away from his knife. It is the light of truth, the light of the perfect man, in which the influence of Al Mutakalam can clearly be seen, Leto continued. What other light would a human prefer? Pardon me. And Namri says here, you speak as one who recites, not one who believes, Namri said. Now, let's see. Lisanu, again from Lisan we have had before, would be tongue, cognate, with the Arabic and Biblical Hebrew as well. It's a Proto-Semitic word. And then hak here in Arabic is truth, reality, or right. Oh, hang on. I had to squeeze something else in here. What does that say? Fair. Oh, I can't make that out. Fair something. The root HQQ. Al-Haq is also one of God's names in Islam, one of the 99 names of God, apparently. Is that right? Pardon me. It also means the truth. Al-Mutakalim. Oh, sorry. Hebrew haq is also law. It's also a fee, a payment, or a fare in Azerbaijani. It can also mean justice. I end up finding lots of things there for it, and then having to scribble them in quite badly and fit them in into little bits there, but I can't make out one of them. My handwriting's that bad. A Muad'Dib is a speaker or a spokesperson. Pardon me. I had a little bit of bother with a couple of these words tonight. So, is the light of the truth, the light of the perfect man, in which the influence of the spokesperson, if you like, can be seen. Leto continued, what other light would a human prefer? For the light of the tongue. So I kind of get that as the tongue or the language of God, in a way, of the truth as well. Very much in a religious sense, if you like. The light of truth, the light of the perfect man. Namri says you speak as one who recites, not one who believes. So the suggestion is this from some sort of other memory kind of thing. Again, is this part of your own personality? Is this what you really believe? I think is the gist of where things are we're going with this. Who said it there? Let me see. Namri's threat. That's it. Cynthia said it. Namri's threat helps focus Leto on a single identity, one that is vulnerable, worth keeping. And I think it's that identity that they're looking to tease out to see what it is. If you like, again, it's a Gom Jabbar moment, isn't it? And it's all this is set up by Jessica. What does the Gom Jabbar test for? And in some cases was to see whether he's an animal, but I think it's also for abomination. In particular here, we're looking to see, is he relying on the other lives, I think, a lot here as well. Julian said, Fremen myth relationship to their ecological realities. Kynes later notes that the Fremen were supremely attuned to the circadian rhythms of their planet and moons as burrowing animals. Very good, Julian, thank you. And of course, we're going to get Kynes. Is going to be our epigraph in the next chapter. Let me see. And of course, well, where's that word? It's there on. That's okay. Sorry, I just need to color something in quickly. There it is. So I don't miss it later. And Leto's thoughts here are, I did recite. But he began to sense the drift of Namri's thoughts, how his words were filtered through early training in the ancient riddle game. Thousands of these riddles went into Fremen training, and Leto had but to bend his attention upon this custom, to find examples flooding his mind. Challenge, silence. Answer, the friend of the hunted. Silence is the friend of the hunted. Now that's a bit more like a riddle, isn't it, I suppose? Namri nodded to himself as though he shared this thought, said, there is a cave, which is the cave of life for Fremen. Sorry, I'll read that again. There is a cave, which is the cave of life for Fremen. It is an actual cave, which the desert has hidden. Shai Hulud, the great-grandfather of all Fremen, sealed up that cave. My uncle Ziaman told me about it, and he never lied to me. There is such a cave. And Leto heard the challenging silence when Namri finished speaking. It's almost like call me a liar is the way I got that there's a Ziamad never lied to me, so he told me there's a cave, therefore there must be a cave. There's a sort of logic to it, if you see what I mean. And Leto's thoughts here, the cave of life, and his response is, my uncle Stilgar also told me of that cave. Leto said it was sealed up to keep cowards from hiding there. And I'm not too sure what to make of that response. It's a response that kind of comes from, I suppose, something that's not probably from other memory, that's from an actual real relationship that Leto has with his uncle Stilgar, and therefore Stilgar is also an authority, if you see what I mean. So as much as he's saying there's a myth, this is a mythical reason in a sense that Namri is presenting here, for why this cave of life has been sealed. The story coming from his uncle Zavid, Leto refers to his uncle Stilgar. It's almost like they're playing Uncle Top Trumps, if you see what I mean. Ziamad was a name I had a bit of bother with, but Ziamad is a fief granted for service in the Turkish army. Arabic Zia would be light, splendor, radiance, etc. But we have a number of terms here within this chapter that are such things, if you like. So it's that's the meaning. I'll go with that here. A fief granted for service in the Turkish army, Ottoman Turk term. We have a number of terms that are similar to this within this chapter that are of note. I suppose there are a few different groups. Pardon me. So the reflection of a glow globe glittered in Namri's shadowed eyes. He asked, "Would you Atreides open that cave? You seek to control life through a ministry. Your central ministry for information, Alquaf and Hajj. The Molana in charge is called Kaiser. He has come a long way from his family's beginnings at the salt mines of Niazi. Tell me, Atreides, what is wrong with your ministry?" Now, we got a whole dump of names and words there, don't we? Goodness gracious. Now, Aquaf is Arabic for assets donated um, uh, that are bequeathed for charity and social benefit. I've just realized I've not looked one of the words up here. I've missed one. I'll do it on the fly. Now, Hajj in Arabic, of course, is the pilgrimage to the Kaaba, but within Dune, let me just double check within the terminology of the Imperium. All right, bear with me a wee second. Just a holy journey within the context of Dune itself and the terminology of the Imperium. Now, let me just see very quickly. Let's have a wee look at. Oh, something happened there. I don't know what happened there, folks. But I've lost you all. Wonder what happened there. Oh, goodness gracious. I've lost your curses. I have lost the text of you all typing. I have no idea how to get it back up. Let me see. Very quickly, I'll have a look. I'll look up Molana here. From Arabic means our Lord and Master. There we go. That wasn't difficult at all. Something. Hang on. More detailed breakdown. Molana, Arabic. Molana, our Master. From Persian, Arabic, Molana. Title mostly in South. There we go. Bear with me. Title mostly in South Asia, preceding the name of respected Muslim religious leaders, in particular graduates of religious institutions, for example, a madrasa or a darul ulum, or scholars who have studied under other Islamic scholars. There we are. Well, the way we have it spelled here, let's just double check. Indian slang for use term for any Muslim. Indian slang usage of the term for any Muslim person who derived from a stereotype, especially towards Muslims who look stereotypical. Molana. I don't think that's what we're on. Molana. There we go. Islam, a religious scholar. Religious scholar. There we go. Islam. It just says Molana. Just says India, Islam, internet slang, religious slur. There we go. A Muslim person in general. Put that down as well. Not bad. Oh, no. There we go. As Frank got us being rude. Anyway, sorry, bear with me a wee second, folks. I have lost you all. Let me just hit. What's happening? I'm back. Still got you. I think I'm still there. I've got you back. I've got you back, folks. I hope I haven't lost you. Not sure what happened there. Apologies. Goodness gracious. Try to say we're here. Oh, here, hang on. I missed something there, haven't I? This relationship. The Fremen were supremely attuned to the circadian rhythms of their planet amidst its burrowing animals. I meant to look up, by the way, the other week we had the name of the kangaroo mouse as a jerboa, and I was in Children of Dune, and I was pretty sure that we hadn't heard the real name of the kangaroo mouse before. I must have a wee check in Dune and Dune Messiah, you know. If anybody can hear me, can somebody give us a wee "we're here" Again, Shai was saying we're here, but that's before you appeared. I hope you are all still there, folks. Julian saying there's a lot of mythic caves from the ancient world, which this cave of life sounds like. Amarath cave in Hindu myth. Yes, indeed, caves are well hugely important, and particularly entrances to the underworld as well. Jarek is over here. Since I can hear you, still here, says Bojack Harkness. Hi, Bojack. It's me. Thank you very much. Sorry about that, folks. Not sure what happened there. It's maybe yes, all good. Thank you, folks. Apologies. Apologies. So there we go. So Moana is apparently a religious slur as well, but another term for a lord or master or religious scholar in our context here, I think. So we've got a number of names here that do relate to titles, if you like. Next up, have we got the Kaiser yet? Oh, yes, we did. So very quickly, I'll just read that again. Would you, Atreides, open that cave? You speak to control life through a ministry, your central ministry for information. Aquaf and Hajj, the Milana in charge, is called Kaiser. He has come a long way from his family's beginning at the salt mines of Niazi. Tell me, Atreides, what is wrong with your ministry? So Kaiser, there we have is Arabic. Let's see, has a particular meaning that I got here. Is a river in paradise decorated with pearls, smelling of strong musk, whiter than milk, sweeter than honey, rich, abundant, plentiful, and is a reference apparently to the pond of abundance. I'll just put Sea Wiki. Niazi is a surname and also one of the largest Pashtun tribes in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So we also have a number of terms from Afghanistan, Pakistan, particularly the Sindh region, if you like, within this chapter as well. So your ministry is built on Aquaf and Hajj. So asset, this is what's wrong with your ministry. It's built on assets to charity, basically social benefit, that kind of thing, and the Hajj, the pilgrimage. The person in charge of your ministry for information is called Kaiser. Again, this long name here. He's come a long way from his family's beginnings at the salt mines of Niazi. Now, I was assuming that Niazi is either another planet, but actually I thought, no, it must be a location on Arrakis. These are Fremen. So tell me, Atreides, what is wrong with your ministry? Leto sat up aware now that he was falling into the riddle game with Namri and that the forfeit was death. The man gave every indication that he had used that Crysknife at the first wrong answer. So this is Namri. Recognizing this awareness, and Leto said, "Believe me, Atreides, I am the clod crusher. I am the iron hammer." Now Leto understood. Namri saw himself as Mirzabah, the iron hammer with which the dead are beaten who cannot reply satisfactorily to the questions they must answer before entry into paradise. Let's see, Mirzabah, then I got Mirza is Persian. It's another title. It's a Persian title for a noble or lord. The Ba bit, I think. Let me see. Do I have peace for that? I'd broken the word up a bit differently. Zaba in Hebrew, for example, Zeba also means sacrifice. Zaba meaning to slaughter or a sacrifice, and then within Arabic I have Amir. So the Mir bit would be from Amir, a prince or commander, if you like, of the sacrifice or the slaughter is the way you could interpret that. The only person there's different mythological beings that torment the dead and do and so on and so forth. The only one that I could figure out that had a hammer was Charon and or Charon, not the Greek version of the myth, the Etruscan one. He has a big hammer to beat the dead with. Charon the Greek one tends to beat them with his oars, doesn't he? That's Charon spelled Charun. Julian said that the Mirzabat also reminds me of the guard one must give passwords to in the Lucinian mysteries. Oh, I love those things. Just thinking about something there the other day, but my head's jumped off it. Yeah, I don't know. The one thing I thought about this was I thought it was a very odd riddle game. Not quite Python-esque. There's no, European swallows or anything here. It's an interesting way he's dumping a lot of these names here. And they all kind of have meanings pertaining to, well, a lot of them have either religious meanings or pertainings to titles. But yeah, Namri saw himself as Mirzabat, the iron hammer with which the dead are beaten who cannot reply satisfactorily to the questions they must answer before entry into paradise. So Leto must answer before entry into, how did he put it earlier? Everyday life, I suppose. Human concourse, that's the term I was looking for. Again, possibly, are we testing to see if he's an animal or a human? Human concourse is the reward for Leto here. He gets to enter human concourse, or Namri lets him live to do that. Interestingly enough, of course, he won't, will he? He'll reject that. So Leto's thoughts here are what was wrong with the central ministry which Ali and the priests had created. Leto thought of why he'd come into the desert, and a small hope returned to him that the golden path might yet appear in his universe. What this Namri implied by his question was no more than the motive which had driven Muad'Dib's own son into the desert. God's it is to show the way, Leto said. Namri's chin jerked down, and he stared sharply at Leto. Can it be true that you believe this? He demanded. It's why I'm here, Leto said. To find the way. I think this bit here is very important. To find it for myself. Leto put his feet over the edge of the cot. The rock floor was uncarpeted, cold. The priests created their ministry to hide the way. As much as does Namri maybe think that he's a gatekeeper in some ways here, isn't he? He's almost being presented a bit like this clod crusher, this iron hammer, this Mirzabat, almost a bit like a psychopomp, a judge of the dead, if you like, with Leto kind of in between worlds. But to find it for myself, there are a lot of plans going on, but this is the this is the twins' plan. This is what they're at, regardless of what anybody else wants. And Leto is in a trap that's of his grandmother's devising, basically. You speak like a true rebel, Namri said, and he rubbed the tortoise ring on his finger. We shall see. Listen carefully once more. You know the high shield wall in Javid? That wall bears my family's marks carved there in the first days. Javid, my son, has seen those marks. Abadai Jalal, my nephew, has seen them. Mujahid Shafkat of the other ones, he too has seen our marks. In the season of the storms near Sakar, I came down with my friend Jacob Abad near that place. The winds were blistering hot like the whirlwinds from which we learned our dances. We did not take time to see the marks because a storm blocked the way. But when the storm blocked the way, let me just double check that. Oh, I've made a mistake there or something. Let's see. Where are we? We did not take time to see the marks because a storm blocked the way. Okay. But when the storm passed, there we go. Hang on, that's my fault. I've just written a bit of that again. Let me just rumble that out. Sorry about that, folks. Let me just back up there. I came down with my friend Jacob Abad near that place. The winds were blistering hot like the whirlwinds from which we learned our dances. We did not take time to see the marks because a storm blocked the way. But when the storm passed, we saw the vision of Thata upon the blown sand. The face of Shakir Ali was there for a moment, looking down upon his city of tombs. The vision was gone in the instant, but we all saw it. Tell me, Atreides, where can I find that city of tombs? No. Goodness, we got a pile there. Jalaluddin, put that together as one word. Jalaluddin is a common Arabic and Persian name meaning splendor of religion or glory of the faith. Abadai Jalal, we have Jalal as a male name and family name meaning majesty and greatness. I think I've missed one there. Hang on. Bear with me, folks. I might have missed a couple here tonight. There was just that much going on here. Mujahid Shafkat. Mujahid is a, let me see. Mujahid is a Muslim engaging in jihad. Shafkat is affection, kindness, compassion, mercy, etc. Yaqub Abad. Yaqub is Turkish version of Jacob, or Yaqub. Abad's Persian for inhabitable, populous, cultivated, good. Thata is a city in Pakistan in the Sindh province. Is a candidate for the ancient city of Patala. Shakir Ali was a Pakistani artist, 1916 to 1975. Shakir meaning grateful or thankful. Ali meaning high, elevated, noble, etc. Sakar here is also a city in Pakistan in the Sindh province. So I missed one word there, which was Abadai. Let me just quickly check that one. Yeah, no, there is nothing on Abadai. It's probably based on some, a slight change with something that Frank that is probably just meant to be a first name here, but I'm not. Yeah, that's why I don't have anything for it at the minute. We'll keep a wee eye out and see if we can get something. Usually we split words up, put them together. Not gonna or slightly alter the letters in terms of if they're consonantal kind of sounds, this kind of thing, D's for T's. That usually we get what we're after, but unless if anybody knows something on what Abadai might mean. But anyway, as I said, I think there's just a whole reference to these kind of things. They're just to suggest names of good old-fashioned Fremen, if you like, proper Aruba, if I'm using that term right. Bear with me a second. City of the Dead, Cairo, Necropolis, that kind of city of tombs. Could be a number of candidates for that, I suppose. Let's see. Remember, Javid said, Mirza also reminds me of the guard one must give passwords to in Eleusinian mysteries. Leto could be saying way in the same Tau manner as courser run. Yes, generally with the way, I consider that the Tau, this kind of thing. Chaya saying, Hallelu is call to praise, as in hallelujah. Din is law or religion. Oh, this is for the first one for Hallelu. What is it? Arabic Persian name Splendor. Right. Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll put that in there as well. because I was just swamped with words in this chapter. Hallelujah. Wasn't hallelujah, right? Okay. Praise. Thank you. And then Din is law or religion. Yeah, all of these names suggest, good qualities, superior qualities, this kind of thing, or positions of power. Don't they have rank? And a couple of places, we've got a couple of cities in Pakistan, Farad'n, Sucker, this kind of thing. We've got Jaipur coming up in a moment as well. Yeah. Wonder how Frank's got all of this stuff for this chapter. Let's see. Tell me, Atreides, where can I find the city of tombs? Leto's thoughts here. The whirlwinds from which we learned our dances. Leto thought. The vision of Thata and Shakir Ali. These were the words of a Zen Sunni wanderer, those who considered themselves to be the only true men of the desert. And Fremen were forbidden to have tombs. Why? Sorry, why there is what I've written, but I kind of know why. Again, a change in their pardon me, their culture because of the nature of the world they're on and what they do with their dead. Oh, excuse me, my glass is dripping here. Now, let's see. All Fremen are forbidden to have tombs. I was just wondering why, but I scribbled it down there, so that isn't part of that. So, this is what Leto says. The city of tombs is at the end of the path which all men follow, Leto said, and he dredged up the Zen Sunni beatifics. It is in a garden 1,000 paces square. There is a fine entry corridor 233 paces long and 100 paces wide, all paved with marble from ancient Jaipur. Therein dwells Al-Razak, he who provides food for all who ask. And on the day of reckoning, all who stand up and seek the city of tombs shall not find it. Pardon me. For it is written, that which you know in one world you shall not find in another. So again, pretty much a religious reference to the city of tombs. Jaipur here is let me see, where do we write that down? Jaipur is a city in India, of course. It's the capital of Rajasthan. It means Jai's city, named after Sawajai Singh, who was born 1693, died 1744. The city was founded in 1727. Well, that was interesting. Razak is proper Arabic, as Razak is provider, sustainer, is one of the names of God in Islam, one of the 99 names of God. Al-Razak is also there's also a village in Iran, and it's also a surname and a forename as well, meaning provider or sustainer. We haven't got the Kadrish yet, have we? So Namri's response again is you're reciting. I don't think you believe. Again, you recite without belief. Namri sneered, but I'll accept it now, because I think you know why you're here. A cold smile touched his lips. I give you a provisional future, Atreides. Leto studied the man warily. Was this another question in disguise? Good, Namri said. Your awareness has been prepared. I've sunk home some barbs. One more thing, then. Have you heard that they wear imitation stillsuits in the cities of Far Kadrish? Kadrish, that I got very quickly, is a village in northern Aleppo, Syria, population 766 as of 2014. So imitation stillsuits. It's quite a bizarre little statement, isn't it? One more thing then. Have you heard that they wear imitation stillsuits in the cities of Far Kadrish? It sounds almost like a sort of bizarre spy greeting or something from a James Bond book. you know. Um, so what about the imitation still suits? As Namri waited, Leto quested in his mind for a hidden meaning. Imitation still suits. They were worn on many planets. He said, the foppish habits of Kadrish are an old story often repeated. The wise animal blends into its surroundings. Namri nodded slowly. Then, the one who trapped you and brought you here will see you presently. Do not try to leave this place, it would be your death. Arising as he spoke, Namri went out into the dark passage. So that's exit Namri. For a long time after he'd gone, Leto stared into the passage. He could hear sounds out there, the quiet voices of men on guard duty. Namri's story of the mirage vision stayed with Leto. It brought up the long desert crossing to this place. It no longer mattered whether this was Jacurutu Fondak. Namri was not a smuggler. He was something much more potent. And the game Namri played smelled of the Lady Jessica. It stank of the Bene Gesserit. Leto sensed an enclosing peril in this realization, but that dark passage where Namri had gone was the only exit from this room. And outside lay a strange siege. Beyond that, the desert. The harsh severity of that desert, its ordered chaos with mirages and endless dunes, came over Leto as part of the trap in which he was caught. He could recross that sand, but where would flight take him? The thought was like stagnant water. It would not quench his thirst. And I like that little touch just at the very end there. The thought was like stagnant water. It would not quench his thirst. Even if he got out of here, where would he go? What would he do? The suggestion is that the best thing is actually to remain in the trap here. And the person that trapped you is coming. Well, of course, that's going to be Gurney. So, yeah, an interesting little chapter. The idea of the riddle game, as I said, within the Dune series, it's a bit different, isn't it, than what we're used to. But it made me think of it made me think it's quite a confusing in a funny way. Some of these riddles, what on earth's going on here? They don't seem like riddles. Um, and it almost in some ways seems a bit like a conversation that's a bit like a shibboleth. If I'm probably not saying that right, that kind of thing. That we're looking for the right things, the right sensibilities of a particular type of Fremen here. I think from Namri. And what are you going to do? Would you, you know, what's what sort of thing would you open up this cave of life? This kind of thing, and that you seek to control it through a ministry. Would you open that cave? That there are things kept secret, kept hidden for a reason. This kind of thing, traditions. It's an interesting chapter, trying to glean out of what Namri's part in this, but also to do with the thinking with Javid and etc. And again, I've not read any further ahead than the next chapter here. So it's interesting. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where we are here. Let me just catch up with your comments. So they say Abadai sounds like the biblical Obadiah, meaning servant of the Lord. Abadai, Obadiah. Yes, indeed. Thank you. That's a good point. Yeah, I'll go with that. We don't have much for him. Where is he? Come back here. Yeah, I've got room to scribble that in. I'll have to put it this way. Servant of the Lord. Yeah, again, these kind of names would go with it, wouldn't it? Thank you, Cynthia. China said, Eved is slave, Oved is worker. B and V can be substitutes in Hebrew. Hmm. see. Scribble that in here now. Sorry, trying to find a spot to put that in. Worker. Shekhar. Shekhar as a Shakir. Shekhar is a lie. Sally is often the name for God the first, makes more sense. Okie dokie. Thank you very much. Object the group saying Knott's Corner still sits 3 for 2. I haven't been to Knott's Corner in ages. So they said choosing to remain in the trap is what the Bene Gesserit said that humans will do. Stay in the trap and catch the trapper from Paul's Gom Jabbar test in June. Yeah, I remember way back whenever we looked at this all the way back in the book club, June book club, we did point out that animals have been known to wait in the trap just in the same way that a human will. So it's not that was the interesting thing about that. We actually there was some thing that had been filmed or something at the time. I can't remember, but there's evidence of animals doing that as well, which I think which changes it a wee bit, doesn't it? I think that's a very interesting thing. And we always point out that humans are animals, and for some reason that there is a separation of those two terms and of those two things within the Dune world, isn't there? Julian Thompson, this is, at least to me, where children starts getting really good. The pace gets ramped up, the references and concepts get more complex and interwoven, and they're pronounced Oived or Aved. Thank you. Oh, yes, I would need that. That would help. Aved. That's it there. Ooh. Thank you. Oved and Aved. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right there. We always do our best. But thank you. Yes, indeed. So yeah, a whole dump of names there, coming from a kind of 2 or 3 kind of clusters, if you like, of certain types of things. We've got Pakistani cities from the Sindh region. We've got terms that are to do with God, and titles that are often noble king, this are ruler, these kind of things. Splendor of religion, glory of faith. This a lot of this kind of stuff here. And he is the last time he sort of dumped stuff like this was in the sort of hearings back in, was that in June Messiah, all the Fremen naibs back then. That was quite a bit of that was a similar kind of thing. They all came from one. I think they all came from one book, didn't they? So there we go, an interesting chapter, and Leto's come through it alive. In my head, I don't know if this is fair of me or not, but I compared, and it's been a while since I've read it, but I compared this chapter to Riddles in the Dark from The Hobbit. If I'm remembering correctly what it's called. Do I have a copy of The Hobbit? I don't think I do. I might do. I should do. And I love that chapter. I was telling a student just the other day, one of them, I think, what was it? One of my favorites would be let me see, can I remember it? I'm a box with neither hinge nor lid, but inside golden treasure is hid. Of course, it's an egg, isn't it? I like riddles like that kind of thing. So riddles can be good fun, and they are an ancient thing. And if you want to check out, the Greeks were heavily into them. Um, and they're kind of interesting, and they are a thing in ancient cultures. Uh, so I find them interesting. I like riddles. Even things like I don't know if anybody knows Scarborough Fair. Um, I think it's a 14th century riddle song. Um, hmm, yeah, riddles. I think they're great. I must get a big book of riddles. That would be fun. Now here we go, folks. Chapter 38. This is probably going to go quick, as Julian's pointing out. The pace. We're going to be moving forward with lots of little double chapters, pretty much because they're short and jumpy. And again, we have, I suppose, Leto's patience paying off in the previous chapter. He's got a tutor in the form of Namri, if you like. We've got a bit of a mirror to that situation here with Jessica and Farad'n. Our epigraph, I've called this chapter Patience because of the one point in time. Sorry, I've just noticed I forgot to write something here. Number 38. There we go. Because of the one point in time awareness in which the conventional mind remains immersed, humans tend to think of everything in a sequential, word-oriented framework. This mental trap produced very short-term concepts of effectiveness and consequences, a condition of constant, unplanned response to crises. So this mental trap produced very short-term concepts of effectiveness and consequences, and a condition of constant, unplanned response to crises. Oh, hang on. That's right, got my book. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't quite flow brilliantly, that passage, but this is one of, and this is from Leto Kynes, the Arrakis workbook we were just mentioning. And this is one of Frank's, I suppose, big ideas that he likes to run with, talks about it a fair bit. All of the first all of this is kind of about that, isn't it, really? Is the inability to think really long term. That we think too much in short term, and that we're very crap at it. And even the long term thinking that we have isn't anywhere near long term enough, if you like. There's a lot to be said for planning for long term things, but you would need to have a hell of a lot of adaptability, I think. And again, I suppose the problem with within the Dune universe is for those who have prediction. How do you plan for something that you you foresee is happening, and of course may or may not happen. So, and again, with words in particular, our focus is on language. Words, this is the start over here with Jessica. Words and movements simultaneous, Jessica reminded herself, and she bit her thoughts to those necessary mental preparations for the coming encounter. It's bent her thoughts there, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Sorry. They are, so we get our time and location here. The hour was shortly after breakfast, the golden sun of Salusa Secundus just beginning to touch the far wall of the enclosed garden, which she could see from her window. She had dressed herself carefully, the black hooded cloak of a reverend mother, but it carried the Atreides crest in gold worked into an embroidered ring around the hem and again at the cuff of each sleeve. Jessica arranged the drape of her garment carefully as she turned her back on the window, holding her left arm across her waist to present the hawk motif of the crest. Farad'n noted the Atreides symbols, commenting on them as he entered, but he betrayed no anger or surprise. She detected subtle humor in his voice and wondered at it. She saw that he had clad himself in the grey leotard which she had suggested. Which she had suggested. He sat on. Now I've got a mistake here, don't I? He sat on a low green divan. Let me just check here. Number 3. Where are we? He sat on the. I've got on the law green. It's on the low, isn't it? On the low green divan to which she directed him, relaxing with his right arm along the back. Pardon me. Nope. All right. There you are. Come here, you. So, we get Farad'n's thoughts here. Why do I trust her? He wondered. This is a Bene Gesserit witch. There's that word. Very loaded word, I suppose. And again, I consider the word witch to be a bit like the terms that the Talaxu use. It's the word that the Bene Gesserit want people to call them. They want. I think it's part of their mystique and part of their hiding who and what they are. But yes, indeed, there's that, the Bene Gesserit witch. Why do I trust her? Jessica, reading the thought and the contrast between his relaxed body and the expression on his face, smiled and said, "You trust me because you know our bargain is a good one, and you want what I can teach you." She saw the pinch of a scowl touch his brow, waved her left hand to calm him. "No, I don't read minds. I read the fact, the body, the mannerisms, tone of voice, set of arms. Anyone can do this once they learn the Bene Gesserit way." The Tao, the way of the Bene Gesserit, yes, indeed. "And will you teach me?" Says Farad'n. "I'm sure you've studied the reports about us," she said. "Is there anywhere a report that we failed to deliver on a direct promise?" "No reports, but we survived in part by the complete confidence which people can have in our truthfulness. That has not changed." "I find this reasonable," he said. "I'm anxious to begin." Now, just interestingly, I suppose, whatever it is that Farad'n says, whenever he comes into the room, interesting the way Frank's presenting this, we don't get to hear it at all. He noted the Atreides symbols, commenting on them as he entered, but betrayed no anger or surprise. I suppose it's just nice Atreides symbols or something like that. But we don't get to hear his comments here, which is an interesting technique for Frank to use here. Little bit of mystery, I suppose. But you know, just in terms of, we should probably hear them. So I was kind of wondering about that. She's very much demonstrating that she is a reverend mother by her dress, her sartorial choices. I call this sartorial warfare. So she's got the black hooded cloak of the reverend mother, but it's got the Atreides crest worked into it with the hawk motif. It's a clear demonstration that I am Atreides, as well as reverend mother. As well as Fremen, I suppose, and we'll get but that with the thrice worn Sardaukar later on, won't we? Oh, here, hang on, let me see. I'll back up a wee second here. The Fremen question answer game does resemble the Norse and Saxon riddle games which Tolkien emulated. The structure of the interrogative also remembers Greek dialect. Yes. China says they just don't seem as fun. I think riddles are fun things. I think they're interesting. They're what's the word? They're intriguing. If you see what I mean, there's something about a riddle game that intrigues you. I didn't quite get that from these here. I thought it was more kind of trying to see if he can say the right thing without accessing memories. We're trying to see what this kid knows of himself, if you like, But yeah, let's see. Chai says sounds more like it should be in the Mentat handbook or from the Bene Gesserit, not as expected from Kynes. Granted, but it's the short term bit there that would be part of Kynes' thinking, wouldn't it? Consequences of conditions of constant unplanned responses to crises. Long term thinking can deal with long term problems, this kind of thing, or things that happen when they arrive. That bit of it smells of Kynes, I think. And again, we have to remember and especially as father, part of what their kind of thinking is like, And even their long term thinking, I think ultimately isn't long term enough, isn't that right? Let's see. Something said in this epigraph, Kynes focused on the consequences of experience immersion, contrast to the previous epigraph focusing on belief. And then Bojack said, mine reads, I read the face, the body. Right, what have we got? We've got a mistake. You trust me? I read the fact. Yeah, I've got fact. It's face. Thank you very much. Yeah, face makes. Oh, for goodness sake, face makes a lot more sense. Thank you very much. Let me see. I read the fact. It's face. No, I don't read minds. I read the face, the body, the mannerisms, tone of voice, set of arms. Anyone can do this once they learn the Bene Gesserit way. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you very much, Bojack. Well spotted. Joey Thompson said, Leto will spend the next 3,500 years teaching humans the adaptability to plan long term, providing they're alive. Sorry, I'm silly. Chiraruka says, mine too. Yes, that read the face. Thank you very much. Julian Thompson says, witch. It's a good enough word. Witches do mysterious things. Or draw. Excellent. Thank you very much, Julian. You got a quote there. It is. Oh, it's definitely. It's one of the things again we remember about the Tylaxu, about the being called the dirty Tylaxu, the filthy Tylaxu, this kind of thing. They did that. They put that out there. That's what they want people to call them. It's another thing with the BGs. I think the BGs, sorry, the Bene Gesserits. Yes, indeed, the witch of the whole thing, mysterious sorceresses, this kind of thing, magic. And to make people think that their abilities are magical rather than part of human training, taking the mind and the body to their extremes. Thank you very much, folks. There. I see you're studying the reports, but is there anywhere report that we failed to deliver on a direct promise? No reports. We survived in part by the complete confidence which people can have in our truthfulness. This is not changed. That has not changed. In part because of that, because of their truth. Says, I suppose it's a skill that the Bene Gesserit can sell out or hire out, if you like. And if they're appear to be honest in what they do, of course they're not that honest at all. And the truth isn't exactly the truth in terms of their skills, is it? It's if someone believes something to be the truth, even though it's not, then they would detect it as being the truth. So I find this reasonably said. I'm anxious to begin. Right, here we go. So this is Jessica. I'm surprised you've never asked the Bene Gesserit for a teacher, she said. They would have leaped at the opportunity to put you in their debt. And I've written next to this, which is what she's doing here. My mother would never listen to me when I urged her to do this, he said. But now, he shrugged an eloquent comment on when Sissy's banishment. Shall we start? It would have been better to begin this when you were much younger, Jessica said. It'll be harder for you now, and it'll take much longer. You'll have to begin by learning patience, extreme patience. I pray you'll not find it too high a price, not for the reward you offer. I just thought, by the way, as much as we got that little bit there about Farad'n's mother when Sissia, he shrugged an eloquent comment on her banishment. I just put next to that it's dismissive. It's his mother we're talking about here, but it's also very casual, if you see what I mean. It, it reminded me for a little moment on that great one of my favorite moments ever from Nemesis the Warlock, where Thomas the Torquemada escapes and all the other people are going to die, and he's just this kind of I will meditate on your deaths sometime. It's like just kind of reminded me on that, but it's slightly callous, I think. Poor Wences here. So she heard the sincerity, the pressure of expectations, and the touch of awe in his voice. These formed a place to begin. She said, "The art of patience, then, starting with some elementary pranabindu exercises for the legs and arms for your breathing. We'll leave the hands and fingers for later. Are you ready?" She seated herself on a stool facing him. Farad'n nodded, holding an expectant expression on his face to conceal the sudden onset of fear. Tyachonic had warned him that Tyachonic had warned him that there must be a trick in the Lady Jessica's offer, something brewed by the sisterhood. You cannot believe that she has abandoned them again, or that they have abandoned her. So this is a Tyachonic speaking in the past here from this point. You can't believe that they've left her to her own, just abandoned her, and vice versa, if you like. And at this point, again, I'm still wondering about it, but I think I think my own opinion, and we'll see if it's confirmed by the story, is that I think she's been with them, but I think she's a Atreides through and through here, to be honest. I think there's an attempt to get back with the Bee Gees. I gotta stop doing that. Sorry, the Bene Gesserits. Sorry, I've got to stop saying Bee Gees. But I think I don't know. I'm two minds about it, whether she is or not, or at this point. I wonder what you guys think. Farad'n had stopped the argument with an angry outburst for which he had been immediately sorry. His emotional reaction had made him agree more quickly with Tychonic's precautions. Farad'n glanced at the corners of the room, the subtle gleam of gems in the coving. All that glittered was not gems. Everything in this room would be recorded, and good minds would review every nuance, every word, every movement. I've got gems in my book spelt with a J. Let me see. Is it both each time? Let me just have a look. Where's this down a wee bit? Are they in italics? Both of them, for some reason. Yeah, gems is spelled with a G, isn't it? I'm just wondering about that. Why? We've got two instances of it there. But gems is with a G, unless it's some. I'm not quite sure. Subtle gleam of gems in the coving. All that glittered was not gems. Everything in this room could be recorded, and good minds would review every nuance, every word, every movement. So that's yeah. I've got gems with a J. Is that a common? That's not an Americanism, is it? I'm wondering. I don't think it is. Just thinking, I've played enough Dungeons and Dragons. The gemstones, gems with a G. Yeah. Julian said, "Witch is a good enough word. Witches do mysterious things." O'Drady, yes, indeed. Gems with a J, says Bojack. My text also says gems. Thank you guys. Thank you, Cynthia. Thanks, Bojack. Yeah, it should be a G. Spelled with a J and italics both. I think it's gems because they're recording, not just decorative. Oh, let me have a wee look. I don't know. Journal of the European Mathematical Society. Ah, gem is a jewel with a J. Okay, it must be an alternative spelling then. There you go. It says here gems can refer to, if you, depending on the context, it stands for Joint Electronic Monitoring System. Gem, valuable stone or nickname for gems. Hmm. It's also a name. Yeah. Gem disambiguation. Gem is a jewel. Oh, yeah, it must. If it's a jewel, then. Yeah, see other uses. Jewish education, media, Jewish broadcasting service, gem out of Japanese experiment. Well, yeah, maybe I'm wrong. There you go. The recording, not just decorative. Yeah, maybe, what was that thing there? We had something about electronic monitoring systems or something like that. Maybe that's it. I was wondering why in italics and why with a J. It's all green on gems. All that glittered was not gems. Everything in the room would be recorded, and good minds would review every nuance, every word, every movement. Well, just being pedantic as usual, folks. Jessica smiled, noting the direction. So he's kind of glancing over these things, giving away that they're there. Jessica smiled, noting the direction of his gaze, but not revealing that she knew where his attention had wandered. She said, "To learn patience is the Bene Gesserit way. You must begin by recognizing the essential raw instability of our universe. We call nature, meaning this totality in all of its manifestations, the ultimate non-absolute. To free your vision and permit you to recognize this nature's changing. Sorry, I think there's a problem here with my text. I don't think this reads well at all. Let me just say, so let me just go back to, she said, to learn patience in the Bene Gesserit way, you must begin by recognizing the essential raw instability of our universe, full stop. Right. We call nature, meaning this totality in all of its manifestations. Sorry, bear with me. Yep, that's okay. The ultimate non-absolute, full stop. Right. To free your vision and permit you to recognize this conditional, that doesn't make sense, right? This is, maybe you can help me here, guys. To free your vision and permit you to recognize this conditional nature's changing ways, you will hold your two hands at arm's length in front of you. I think there's something wrong there. The word conditional, something about it, it's not making sense to me. I'm stumbling over it when reading it. Let's see. Can somebody just check what you have there, guys, if you wouldn't mind? So, the ultimate nature is, so you got to learn patience in the Bene Gesserit way. You must begin by recognizing the essential raw instability of our universe. It's not stable. We call nature, meaning everything, the ultimate non-absolute. To free your vision and permit you to recognize this conditional nature's changing ways, you will hold your two hands at arm's length in front of you. Stare at your extended hands first the palms, then the backs. Examine the fingers front and back. Do it. Cindy says my text says the same as yours. I agree that it sounds awkward. Yeah, it's around. Um, it's that simple. Yeah, to free your vision and permit you to recognize this conditional nature's changing ways. It's almost it's almost as it's almost as if you could throw out the words this conditional to free your vision and permit you to recognize nature's changing ways. You will hold your two hands at arm's length in front of you. Perhaps I don't know. Same conditional nature's changing ways. Yeah, it doesn't flow well at all. I think if you removed this conditional, it makes more sense to free your vision and permit you to recognize nature's changing ways. Recognize nature's unconditional changing ways, even something like that might make more sense. But we'll not worry about it too much, folks. If it looks like we've got an odd one here, that's all we all have the same thing, don't we? Yeah, I put a wee question. This doesn't quite make sense. The ultimate non-absolute is the universe in its constant changing form. Um, I have to go with, is that a paradoxical statement? Do you agree with it? Because I don't know. Surely the universe is the only absolute thing. That's kind of where I would go with it. The idea that change is to me is an absolute. Um, Trying to get what Frank's going with, but he's again gone with a negative here, hasn't he? It's the ultimate non-absolute. Is it the ultimate variable? I suppose is what you're saying here. Sure, fair enough, but I don't know. Um, Depends on what you think that the universe is and how you look at it. Is it one thing? I don't know. It's enough to mess with your head, isn't it? Conditional is describing nature. The apostrophe S connecting nature to changing ways is awkward flow and visually awkward too. Yeah. This conditional nature's changing ways. I almost think yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. There's something wrong. It is this conditional. There's something wrong with that. If you remove it, it makes sense. Um, it's describing conditional is describing nature. I was even wondering then, just with the nature of some of the mistakes in this child, that a lot of them have been deliberately made. I thought you could even went unconditional or something. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's not good. I must have a wee nosy at some other different types, some other copies, and see what we can find. Um, but it's looking like that's a universal sort of awkwardness, for want of a better word. So here we go with the hands. I had a bit of fun with this. I'll tell you about it in a wee second. Farad'n complied, but he felt foolish. These were his own hands. He knew them. Imagine your hands aging, Jessica said. They must grow very old in your eyes. Very old. Sorry, very, very old. Notice how dry the skin. My hands don't change, he said. He already could feel the muscles of his upper arms trembling. Continue to stare at your hands. Make them as old as you can imagine. It may take time, but when you see them age, reverse the process. Make your hands young again, as young as you can make them. Strive to take them from infancy to great age at will. Bring us back and forth, back and forth. I tried this earlier. I wrote down that this was easy. I was able to take my hands all the way to skeletal, and then that they became dust and blew off in the air and became part of someone's dandruff. And then I was able to bring them all the way back and go all the way down to having little fetal And I was able to do that in my imagination for a good giggle after about a few seconds. It was simple. That's my imagination for you. There you go. That's where I went with it. Thought I'd give it a shot. So I've written next to it, easy. They don't change, he protested. His shoulders ached. If you demand it of your senses, your hands will change, she said. Concentrate upon visualizing the flow of time which you desire. Infancy to age, age to infancy. It may take you hours, days, months, but it can be achieved. Reversing that change flow will teach you to see every system as something spinning in relative stability, only relative. I thought I was learning patience. She heard anger in his voice. Uh, and I've got here and edge of frustration, and I think it should be an edge of frustration. Again, I've got an extra letter. Pardon me. So the skill here is visualization. It's not difficult to do. I teach it to a lot of my students. Just let's put your imagination to work. And I'd say certainly from Farad'n's point of view, I would consider this a failure of the imagination on his part here. The thing that I thought was interesting, what to ask, I was saying that I would let you know about this earlier whenever we got there, was that this is Farad'n's first lesson from Jessica as a Bene Gesserit teacher. And the question I was wondering, especially to do with his hands, is was this Paul Atreides' first lesson? And particularly to do with the nature of what it's about with the hands. And it just made me think all the way back to the original Gom Jabbar test with the box and the Reverend Mother Gaius Halamohiam. And that if this was your first lesson, this would be a good way of preparing you for such a thing, wouldn't it? That's why I thought of it. Just made me think, I wonder, was this Paul's first lesson? And if so, it's a particularly useful one if the Reverend Mother Gaius Halamohiam turns up, I think. I thought I was learning patience. She heard anger in his voice, an edge of frustration. Yeah. China said, yes, an edge of frustration. Yeah, thank you. I thought that's what it was. That one's not too difficult to figure out, thank goodness. And relative stability, she said. This is the perspective which you create with your own belief, and beliefs can be manipulated by imagination. You've learned only a limited way of looking at the universe. Now you must make the universe your own creation. This will permit you to harness any relative stability to your own uses, to whatever uses you're capable of imagining. Yeah, I think this is kind of it's pretty much basically here's a set of skills. This one's going to be visualization. And we've attached an element of the flow of time towards it as well, to age something to make it younger again, and we have a physical exertion that we're going to keep doing this to our hands, and we're going to hold this position until we do so. So it's training the muscles and training the mind simultaneously, isn't it? Relative stability is what we're after here in a very unstable universe, I think, is probably the suggestion. The perspective which you create with your own belief, and beliefs can be manipulated by imagination. You've learned only a limited way of looking at the universe. Now you must make the universe your own creation. This will permit you to harness any relative stability to your own uses, to whatever use you are capable of imagining. So it's basically a visualization tool that you can use to apply to any sort of problems you've got to deal with, that kind of thing. I have a wee one that I think is nice, good fun. Is just imagine if you've got a visual idea of what the universe might look like, picture it floating in your hand. the whole thing, and you can zoom in and zoom out if you like. But it's to stand outside the universe, I think, is an interesting visualization technique. The hardest thing to visualize is nothing. And I think it's impossible, and hence the term "nothing is impossible." because I think it is. Now, let's see. How long did you say it takes? This is Farad'n here. Patience, she reminded him. A spontaneous grin touched his lips. His eyes wavered towards her. Look at your hands, she snapped. The grin vanished. His gaze jerked back to a fixated concentration upon his extended hands. What do I do when my arms get tired? He asked. Here we go. That's notebook number 2 finished, folks, by the way. And I've just got this. I'll staple this in as to finish. But there we go. That's another one. Very quickly, just before we finish up tonight. But there we are. All of this stuff. Everything, as you can see. Absolutely packed. Some illustrations as well. I quite like doing things like that. There you go. So it's not just for a bit of fun. There we go. But that's notebook number 2, finished on Children of Dune. I'm going to have to go buy another notebook before next week. Goodness gracious. So here we are. Jessica again. Stop talking and concentrate, she said. If you become too tired, stop. Return to it after a few minutes of relaxation and exercise. You must persist in this until you succeed. At your present stage, this is more important than you could possibly realize. Learn this lesson or the others will not come. Farad'n inhaled a deep breath, chewed his lips, stared at his hands. He turned them slowly, front, back, front, back. His shoulders trembled with fatigue, front, back. Nothing changed. Jessica arose, crossed to the only door. He spoke without removing his attention from his hands. Pardon me, where are you going? You'll work better on this if you're alone. I'll return in about an hour. Patience. I know. She studied him a moment. Yeah. How intent he looked. He reminded her with a heart-tugging abruptness of her own lost son. She permitted herself a sigh. When I return, I'll give you the exercise lessons to relieve your muscles. Give it time. You'll be astonished at what you can make your body and your senses do. She let herself out. So we have exit Jessica here, but our point of view doesn't stay in the room. We move with Jessica. So it's really exit Farad'n, if you like. She let herself out. The omnipresent guards took up station 3 paces behind her as she strode down the hall. Their awe and fear were obvious. Love that. They were Sardaukar, thrice warned of her prowess, raised on the stories of their defeat by the Fremen of Arrakis. This witch was a Fremen Reverend Mother, a Bene Gesserit, and an Atreides. Thrice warned. 3 types of dangerous. Jessica, glancing back, saw their stern faces as a milepost in her design. She turned away as she came to the stairs, went down them and through a short passage into the garden below her windows. And we have Jessica's thoughts here. Now, if only Duncan and Gurney can do their parts. She thought as she felt Now, if only Duncan and Gurney can do their parts, she thought, as she felt the gravel of a pathway beneath her feet, saw the golden light filtered by greenery. Filtered by greenery. There we go, my appalling handwriting. And we made it, to the end of chapter 38. So chapter 39 next. Yes, indeed. I love the little bit with the guards walking behind her there. That's just, we often talk about how truly dangerous Jessica Atreides is. And I think within one little paragraph there, we get it. I think that's a cracking little bit there. Yes, indeed. And we're moving forward. And there are things to sort of kind of wonder about in terms of Jessica and Farad'n, Jessica and Paul. His training, how's it going? What skills is she giving this young man? And part of me also thinks that very much so that where the education is going is basically to give him some chance of staying alive with Ganima. I think a part of that, in relation to the ultimate political machinations that are going on here, there are different plans in action. But certainly, what Jessica's got going seems to be to the fore at the minute. Things are moving forward quickly, as Julian was pointing out, that the pace picks up here. And again, let me just check for next week, folks. And I'm going to go with Thursday again for Thursdays for a wee while, folks. Just my timetable has changed, so I hope that's not too annoying for everyone. But again, next week, the pace of these chapters is we'll be able to do 2 chapters again. Hopefully, yeah, 2 short punchy. We've got a whole bunch of these, so it really is driving everything. We're getting things drawn together. Our threads woven in, if you like. Certain plots have fizzled out and failed, other ones have carried on. There's more going on in the background, and how will it all work out, And of course, at the minute, we've got Alia's plans going, we've got Farad'n's plans going, we've got Jessica's plans going, which involve Duncan and Gurney. Duncan had a little bit of his own kind of agenda there. We've got the preacher and his plans going, and of course we have the twins. So all sorts of things are going on. Certain things of are different sort of strands of the story are heading towards their conclusions. I think it's I'm sorry, I'm a bit stumbling over my words a wee bit here. But we're definitely picking up the pace and heading towards the conclusion of the story, and I think we'll actually get there quite quickly with the way these double chapters work. We've got a whole bunch of them coming up. So next time we'll be doing chapter 39 and 40. The next 2 after that will also be doubled up, 41 and 42. I think we'll probably do a 43 on its own, then 40 and 40, 44 and 45. 46 and 47, 48, 49, all of those are doubles. 50 and 51. 52 will be on its own. 53 and 54, doubled. 55. Yeah, lots of them, folks. 55 and 56, 57 and 58, and chapter 60 and 61. So there'll not be too many chapters ahead that we'll be dealing with on their own. And the only time we'll be doing that will be because of their length, if you see what I mean. But we should be able to handle 2 chapters a week as we go forward. I'm at page 266 on my copy. To 426, as far as we have to go. So yeah, it's good that we're starting to make way. And Frank's still throwing all sorts of things at us, and tension, mystery, the political machinations, all of that kind of stuff. It's all fascinating, isn't it? We're getting there. I'm wondering when we will get done. It'll be interesting to put a date on it. Of course, once we're finished with Children of Dune, what we will be doing, folks, is we'll be taking a couple of weeks off at that point, grabbing some new notebooks, and then we'll be hitting the God Emperor, which I'm looking forward to. Pardon me, let's have a look at your comments here. What time is it? Just after 12. That went pretty fast, and as I said, there wasn't too much to look at really in that last chapter. It's just we're moving forward, driving things ahead, setting some things up. Let me see. Age of frustration. So they said, I've always understood the lesson in this chapter literally as Farad'n learning to actually change the age of his hands. Yeah, in his own mind, yeah. Make them younger, make them older. I think it's to consider his own hands in terms of agency as well. I think, there's a lot about hands. Again, always a thing that's running through these books. Chapter that was Farad'n learned to actually change the age of his hands. Yeah. Two sons, Chai is saying, two sons of former emperors, one being forced to solidify his identity, the other to develop his abilities. Yeah, both I suppose, to grow in ways. And I think patience applies to both of Farad'n and Leto here. Chai is saying, well, Farad'n not forced, but both learning. Yes, indeed, but not forced, but perhaps manipulated into a little bit. Two students as well forced into a new way of thinking by their tutors. Yes, indeed. Us tutors, we get a bad rap, don't we? Yes, indeed. Tutors are quite important, I think. Someone tried to take the piss out of me once a long time ago, and the answer that I gave them is became the standard answer that I gave, and it was what good is a tutor? And I told them that, ask Alexander the Great. And that's kind of anytime someone kind of criticizes having a tutor or anything like that, that's my wee go-to response. But yeah, tutors are handy things. I think I do a lot of good work here with them. I do one-to-one tuition. It helps students a lot, especially students who are lost or have lost, just can't get the hang of something. We can really just make a massive amount of difference, even within 1 hour, pretty much. But yes, indeed, two students as well forced into a new way of thinking by their tutors. And of course, these two pupils are ultimately going to meet, aren't they? Um, they're going to have a way of going forward. Um, both are being prepared, I suppose, initially for their roles in a funny way, but there's an aspect of, I suppose, political preparedness with Farad'n as well as the body and the pranabindi, the body and the mind. With Leto, it's, I think, very much more of a Gom Jabbar thing here. But yeah, there's a lot of we should be looking at the two characters and what's happening to them in tandem. It's good to sort of compare and contrast. But two very good little chapters there. A couple of confusing little misprints again. Nothing major in terms of meaning, though, fortunately. Excuse me, because we've had some howlers there. But there we go, folks. I'll tell you what. I've got to get my pooches out, so it's I've had them out a wee bit earlier, just before the show, but they're due another dander. So, all here on my own tonight. So what I will do is say thank you very much, as always, folks. There's a chance I might be back on tomorrow night. Who knows? But otherwise, we'll go for the next two chapters next Thursday at the same time at 10 o'clock. And we'll probably be keeping this time for a regular. Hopefully, I think it's a lot easier for me. Just so my calendar tends to sort of swap around when exams end and that kind of thing. So I've got one more week of students for maths exams, and then I'm free in a kind of way for the summer, which I'm looking forward to. So Bojack saying later on, Object Degree said, cheers, Doc. Cheers, guys. Somebody said, thanks, Doc. It's me. Good night. Julian Thompson said, night, Doc. And Chaya, thanks, Doc. And good night, all. Thank you very much, everybody. That was good reading that. I quite enjoyed that. Look after yourselves as always. Thank you very much for all of your help and contributions and questions. And we'll see you next week. And yeah, take it easy, folks. And we'll see you real soon. 10 o'clock next Thursday, GMT +1, for two more chapters of Children of Dune. All the very best now. SYMP, I give you this much greeting. Bye-bye. Do 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 do.